and Greg. It doesn't always mean that things are rosy. It doesn't mean, gosh, I can't wait to go to the staff meeting today because I'm going to feel good the whole time. No, it does mean, hey, I can't wait to go to the staff meeting because I'm going to feel empowered the whole time. And empowerment doesn't always mean feeling good. You know, the coach of all the winning teams, if you look at it, those coaches say, no, that wasn't good enough at halftime. They say, we're going to run more laps, we're going to be more prepared, we're going to do that thing in order to get there. What happens? You start to build trust for the coach because you start to win as a result of that. You know, that's a huge thing. So building habits. Okay, right. Mike is go ahead.
Involved. I mean, the next point on here is Mike is involved. And involved at the right times and for the right things and the right reasons.
Yes. In the study of Muriology, we have found this to be incredibly true. This does not mean that Mike does not have a lifestyle that a lot of people would envy, that he doesn't spend extra time, and even sometimes, you know, proudly express that he has, you know, taken this time with Bodhi or, you know, any particular thing that represents outside of business. I remember golfing with his dad for a while there. Those sorts of things that he's excited about doing. But Mike Muriel, I have not seen this, does not say, I hate running interviews. I never hear that sort of thing. I can't wait to get to the office drives me crazy. I don't hear that from Mike. I hear Mike's enthusiasm for life outside of the business, but never at the cost of degrading the work that we do here. That's a huge, huge thing. I mean, when the message is, I gotta go be with my wife and daughter because the business is hell, okay? As opposed to, I want to be with my wife and son, that is, of course, in this instance, but if the message is, I can't wait to be with my family because I love them, but gosh, it's great to be at work when I'm there, or that's something that somebody else can do. You see, it's positive, 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 not I gotta escape. I always hear that in Mike, and he's involved. You know, you've heard me say before, there are certain things you can't delegate. You don't delegate somebody kissing your wife. That's just not something that's done. You have to engage into certain things the right way. You cannot delegate the infusion of culture. This begins with you. I mean, if you think about it, when a country goes to war, it is the president of the country that's, you know, leading the charge, that's giving the message. They can't delegate that to somebody else because that is their job, to have people confident, empowered. And you look at the generals then too, once that happens and they're empowered, the generals go and they share that message of victory. They don't say, hey, you know what, let me just delegate this entirely. Now, of course, once they do that, people emulate that, and they emulate the culture all the way down, because there's pep talks at so many different levels in this business too. But it has got to include, what is the leader thinking about this? The reins of the pilot, this is a huge thing. Mike doesn't delegate the reins of the pilot. I have never, ever, in all the years of working with Mike, heard him say, well, the reason the pilot didn't do well is because of the pilot manager. He doesn't do that. The pilot manager, it's always about Mike. It is always about Mike. Even though there are certain things that he delegates, he doesn't delegate the reins. Meaning, the pilot manager is definitely empowered to feel like the pilot manager in charge there. However, Mike is always kind of in the back there, saying, if this thing starts to go south, I am taking responsibility for it, and I am jumping in and running that training, which he does, infusing the culture, which he does. He just doesn't delegate those certain things. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with trading time. It really isn't. It's empowerment, attitude repair. He doesn't delegate that. He's not like, okay, the ranch manager's having a bad time and the new district manager's having a tough time with that. It's somebody else's job to pump them up. In fact, every time that I call one of Mike's people, Jake, for example, was having a tough time, and Mike was the one identified to me that Jake was having a problem. So I called Jake, and he didn't delegate it to me. Mike was all over it, had a thorough conversation. He asked me to just come in and act as a support portion to that. But whenever I talked to Jake, Mike told me this, Mike told me this, Mike told me this, Mike told me this. It's all covered already. It's there. So it's filled out. Whereas sometimes I feel like I'm calling a district manager and like, well, wait, did you talk to the division manager about this? And I'm like doing that work that isn't additive but is essential. It can't be delegated.
Right.
Manager love, appreciation, recognition. Now this will be done by many people in your organization, you know that. But the primary gist of it that comes from you, they have to feel your presence in that regard. So these are huge things. Direct interactions, text, emails, face-to-face calls, whatever it might be. And firing the team up to go after a cause, whether it's the division or the pilot. Those things Mike does very, very well. And how can I know that? I'm not there for all of that, but I talk to his people. And his people say, Mike this, Mike that. You know, you feel that energy that he's presenting. And is everybody else feeling that? And by the way, all of you do so many of these things very well, but it's to the degree, it's the level.
Next thing here is Mike's firm with his people the right way, which a lot of times translated means that he's hard on his people.
Yeah.
But can you explain a little bit about how that permeates into results?
Now, you've seen this. This is probably one of the most sophisticated pieces on here, because this is the one that the user division manager could go really south on if you don't get this right. If you all of a sudden say, and I want to tie it into just the title of the last one, Mike leads like himself. Okay, this is a huge thing. Mike leads like himself. And I want to put that caution out there because, you know, Dane, your personality is a lot different than Mike's. Brandon, yours is. Greg, yours is. Justin, yours is. In fact, Aaron, yours is. All of you, they're different. So if you try to all of a sudden be Mike on this, it's not going to work. But you can be firm in the same, to the same level, not in the same way. That's a different thing. But to the same level that Mike is firm with his people. In other words, you can be tough on him in that regard. But I want Aaron Love being tough like Aaron Love, not like Mike Muriel. I'd be a little freaked out. I'd also be equally freaked out if Mike Muriel tried to be tough like Aaron Love. It just doesn't match those people and their personality. But Mike is tough with his people. On a 10, a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. I mean, it's like, listen, this has to be done.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. And I think some people are a little taken back by that at first in working with Mike. In fact, I know it. I'm not going to mention too many names, but I've had conversations with people who right now are this tight with Mike Muriel who are like, I don't know about this guy. I mean, I don't know about him. Because he works him over pretty tight. But the thing is, when Mike does that on a 10, a scale of 1 to 10, he provides support at an 11. And this is a key part of it. I have never had a conversation to any of my recollection where Mike has come to me and just complained about his people. It doesn't happen. Now, Mike has thrown his arms up in disgust. He's been irritated and all that kind of stuff. But there's a big difference between so-and-so is a this, or they're a that, or they won't this, or they won't that, and I am frustrated because I can't get this person to take this action.
Putting that responsibility back on himself.
You see that? That's exactly right. It's not they. It's, well, certainly sometimes it's they're not this, and I'm frustrated because I need to find a new approach to help them.
Right.
It always comes back to what is Mike going to do. So his conversations with me are never, I'm frustrated with this person, they're a waste, I'm not going to do anything. It's, Dave, let's brainstorm a different strategy for this person. What else can I do? I feel like I've done everything for them. What else can I do? And when I talk to that person, I know Mike has tried everything because when I go through the list with them, they're like, yeah, I sat down and I worked with Mike on that. I worked with Mike on that. I worked with Mike on that. So he presses his people, but with support. You press them without support and it's going to freak them out. But if you press them with support, then that's exactly what they need here. You know, Justin, Greg, Danny, Chanda, Bob, Mike, and many more, they're proof that this is the case. You just can't build that sort of long-term relationship if that weren't the case. And you know what? Those people, even the ones who've moved beyond working with Mike directly in his organization, still go back and ask Mike questions and advice because they want to get that information. The next one.
You say Mike rarely drops an issue when he knows it will help someone he's leading. He's careful not to cross the line